I feel like now the Korean exchange actually has better liquidity compared to Binance.
Interesting. That would make sense because they demand so much liquidity to get listed in the first place because they know that there's going to be a huge rush of trading when anything gets listed. So I guess that makes sense. Think like 10, 15.
That's fine. Yes.
Because we're
Yeah.
in the same time zone, I can say that. That's a rare luxury. Most people are not
It
in this
is.
time zone.
Of course. Like China is 1 hour behind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like very few, like I think very few countries are in the same time zone.
Yeah. It's
Very
like
few. Yeah.
Australia, one part of Australia, I think the very far western coast, like Perth,
Right.
might be in our time
Perth.
zone. Most
Yeah,
of
maybe Perth.
Japan, Korea,
Hmm.
and a little part of Russia. That's it.
All right.
We
Got
stand
it.
alone. We're the lone soldiers in this time zone.
I see.
Welcome to Sweat Media at the convergence of AI and Web3. Today we have the privilege to talk to a serial founder of esoterically named projects in the Web3 space, including a whole blockchain protocol and a trading platform that has evolved into a bona fide AI driven automated trading platform. Please welcome Felix Xu, a very smart investor who is working to marry traditional finance with DeFi at Arpa Network and Bella Protocol. I am Brian Newer, your host, and Felix, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Brian. It's my honor to join the podcast.
If you could share a brief little overview of how your career journey, your career path brought you into Web3.
Sounds good. Oh, that's a long story, kind of. Yeah. Um, so I was born and raised in Beijing, and uh, both my parents actually used to be working in the military, right? So I kind of brought up in that kind of setting. And during college, I went to New York. I went to NYU for college. I studied finance and information systems. So during one thing that I learned during college and with a finance background is that um, essentially like the economy and also like finance is a way for like some like a ruling class to basically exploit the middle class or like the working mass majority. So that's kind of one thing that I learned from the essence of finance. And out of school, I worked at a hedge fund, and then later I switched to a venture capital because I was more into the technology. And in 2017, I actually first read about Bitcoin in 2014, but didn't really pay attention. But in 2017, that was my first time investing into Bitcoin, and I was totally fascinated by like the decentralization ideology that Bitcoin offers. So I joined the industry. I quitted my job in early 2018, and it has been 7 years of a journey that I would say probably the highlight of my life so far. I founded two projects. First one is ARPA, ARPA, ARPA Network, and we have been working on cutting edge cryptography algorithms for essentially like some mission critical um, infrastructures in blockchain. And also the second project that I founded in 2020, we are currently working on DeFi, DFAI. So essentially using AI to assist trading, crypto trading, and then to analyze a lot of data sources and essentially coming up or at least like assist with some trading decisions. That's kind of a brief or long background for my career so far.
So basically, it started off with traditional finance, and then you realize that there's a lot of technology that you can integrate into what you're doing at traditional finance, and with that, you sort of stumbled into Web3 because you realize that the marriage of those two is pretty. It's a match made in heaven, so to speak.
I'd say to add on that, one thing that I kind of learned from like working in finance, out of college, I worked on the Wall Street with a high-paying job, right? However, I was kind of bored because like these like since I was a child, I wanted to do something different, right? And I wanted to, let's say, join like a revolution or a disruption of a certain industry. However, I do think that traditional finance is, like back in the time, like back in the days before 2017, I thought, in order to disrupt the industry, you cannot do like a top-down approach. It's more like a bottom-up approach, right? You have a totally new set of financial primitives, right? Using technology. And essentially, you are not doing fintech, but you are doing crypto in order to disrupt the whole financial industry. So I think that is kind of the only way it works. I mean, like now, especially after the last year, 2023, crypto is becoming more and more mainstream, and then it's definitely beneficial for our industry to go bigger. However, for that very beginning, right? So like the very beginning of DeFi, like I got into the industry because I believe in like decentralization. I believe in the ideology that will eventually empower a lot of individuals. So I would say, the current development of this industry is interesting, and I think it's also inevitable for us to go mainstream, right? To be accepted by like the old financial orders. But I do think, eventually it will just be a much bigger thing compared to an ETF or compared to, an a mere asset allocation for these large financial institutions.
So then, is there importance in, like you said, an acceptance in traditional finance? There's importance there on the in the way of like an ETF listing for certain coins. At what point does it not become important then? If the goal here is to not have traditional finance be as important, at what point can we say, yeah, crypto or Web3 has overcome the binds that traditional finance has put on it ever since its inception?
Hmm. Sure. I think it's still a long way to go, right? Because like right now, crypto is standing at like $2-3 trillion of market cap, which is like, one company, right? It's like similar to Nvidia, just one company's market cap. So I think it's like as an asset class, I think there's a long way to go, especially for Bitcoin, right? So if we like, even if we comp Bitcoin to gold, I think it's still, just 10% of the market cap of gold, right? So and if you think about how many like how many like assets, right? How many kinds of assets that can go beyond a country, right? A nation. I think there are very few, right? So gold, Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is so much superior to gold because it's digital, right? It's transferable, right? It's easy, you can easily take your money with you. So there are a lot of like real competitive advantages, for Bitcoin compared to other like current like currencies or asset class that go beyond a nation. So I think there's still a long way to go, but eventually, to me, if I do just one high conviction trade, that would be Bitcoin instead of any companies, right? Because I feel like, it will last longer than any companies or last longer than a nation or like a dynasty. So that's what we have seen like like throughout the history. um, so that is kind of what I bought into crypto, why I'm working in this industry. And I feel like, as an asset class, there are a lot of things that we can do around it, right? Using different types of technologies.
Um, Not everyone has a blockchain protocol and other trading protocols behind them. So, with that, more specifically about Bella, uh, what do you think is the single most important use case for AI in the Web3 space?
If I have to name one, I think like for the near term, I would say, probably on trading or on like the processing of all these data sources, how to essentially like, like derive to a faster or more accurate trading decisions using AI. I think that is like in the near term, that is kind of the single most important thing for crypto industry or crypto traders to adopt AI. And if we look longer term, I think blockchain can offer some other very interesting, very interesting perspectives for AI. Using like combining AI with blockchain, we can probably like make it verifiable, make the algorithms verifiable. So essentially, it's like if we compare, right, Bitcoin, is granting financial sovereignty for individuals, right? Because before Bitcoin, you cannot travel with a lot of cash, with a lot of your assets, right? For me, I was born and raised in China. China still has capital control, right? If you want to convert certain amount of money into a foreign currency, and that actually the same case for a lot of other countries, including South Korea. So I
Yeah.
mean, like, so Bitcoin essentially is granting individual financial sovereignty, right? But if we think about AI, you know, if like we think AI is smarter than us, which, in a lot of cases they do, right? So they eventually should have their own financial sovereignty. However, AI cannot get a bank account unless they fake some sort of human identity, right? Their go-to option would be like do a wallet, right? Create a wallet, and then they have control of their own wallet, and essentially for verifiable I think that's how blockchain is granting these financial sovereignty for AI beings. I think that is something very interesting for the long term.
So if an AI can spin up a wallet and do basically anything that can be done on chain, because now we know that AI can use a browser, it can read a browser and click buttons and interact with a browser. Think about like a DeFi protocol. It can use the DeFi protocol with its own wallet that it spun up on its own.
Hmm.
Then the issue becomes, okay, so then what do they do with it? Because unless they can spend it on something, which right now I think there's still quite limited uses of for crypto, like from a monetary sense, like you're not going to buy your newspaper with Bitcoin or Ethereum or something.
Hmm.
What if a person spins up an AI account, or rather an account on an AI trading platform? It uses their wallet, so they have their own wallet set up already. The AI program is using it, and then the
Hmm.
AI does all the trading. It has completed a strategy, let's say, as an example, and it's going to take some profits out. So then it moves the crypto into an exchange, a centralized exchange in the person's name. The AI
Hmm.
also may have access to that person's centralized exchange account to perform whatever off ramping is required because the account has been KYC'd by the individual, the actual person, and all the bank account information, the actual real bank account information has been connected to the account. Then the AI is able to go from on chain to off chain seamlessly because it's using a real person's account. Is there some kind of risk involved there? At what point does the AI have too much power, or is it too fast? And at what point would you say there should be some kind of a threshold of where the AI can touch? Because like it is happening.
Hmm.
AI trading is happening on centralized exchanges, and they're going to be taking control of people's accounts at some point too.
Of course. Yeah, so that's why I said, using AI to assist, trading, that would be like the most important kind of use case that for the near term, right? Because, for example, at Bella, we are working on a lot of different AI models. So essentially, we are processing numerous data sources using AI, and then eventually will derive to some trading decisions, right? Trading um, the suggestions for the users, and then user can trade. So essentially, like we are using AI to help users to do better trading, right? That is something I think a lot of service providers are going after, right? This is very useful, right, for individual or even institutional crypto traders, right, crypto funds. However, right, if we take one more step, right? So what if the AI can make money by themselves, right? Let's say, like let's just make a scenario that let's say the AI has some money, right, within his wallet, right? He can trade fully autonomously on these DEXs or hyperliquid. They can take on leverage and they make a lot of money, right? So essentially, they are free from any overlord, human overlord, right? Because they can control their own wallet. They essentially can use their wallet to buy some other services, right? So let's say I would assume that in the near future they can buy some GPU power using crypto, using their own wallet, right? They can buy some other source of services, or they can even hire human to do something for them. So essentially, these AI being, as long as they have money, right? They have their wallet, they can use it to exchange a lot of services, and they can even evolve, right? They can make their algorithms even smarter. So I feel like, of course, to your point, I think they can use, a human KYC account, right, at Binance or at Coinbase. However, they're probably not going to choose it, right? Not going to choose to do that because there are better alternatives on chain. So that's why like we're gonna see a lot of activities in DeFi that's not gonna performed by human. They're gonna be performed by AI agents that helping the human, and eventually they are going to be performed by these autonomous AI beings that control their own asset. I feel like that's kind of fulfill the ideology for Bitcoin or for crypto. That's essentially empowering financial sovereignty for human, and also for human and banked human, and also for AI being, because AI being have no way to open a bank account in our own financial system.
Right, right. No, so you're saying just within the context of the single most important use case for AI agents in Web3 being trading and speed of trading because of the amount of data that they can process at any
Yep.
time. Within that context, there is no threshold because why would an AI agent that is performing all this trading on chain, why would it need to go off chain? Why would it need to off ramp? Because there are so many better options, and that's not what it's designed to do anyway. But
Mhm.
thinking beyond that, like at some point, there's going to be this link between the real world and the on chain world. Is there some in your perspective? Is there a limit to how much control an AI agent should have with a person's finances?
Hmm. That depends on like how much do you trust your AI agent to do, right? So essentially, let's say, you have a secretary, right? You have a PA, right? That help you to book, flights, right? To do whatever like, errands that you have. And how much trust do you put on the person? So essentially, that's how much trust that you can put on the AI agent. To me, I feel like as long as, let's say, this AI agent can make some money for the human, or they can provide some convenience for the human, eventually they are going to gain a lot of trust. So give you one example, which is like not related to finance, to money, but then like, so if you do, let's say like if you want to go to one destination, you open up like Google Map. How much would you trust Google Map? I would say 100%, right? I would just drive, according to Google Map, because I know it's smarter than me, because it knows everything about the locations. So I think that's how we step into this game, that AI agent will eventually take control of all of our lives, all aspects of our lives, not only in crypto but also like in our daily lives. Um, and then essentially like they, of course, like that, like your bank account is probably one of the aspects they can take a control, they can, sorry, take control.
Right. So then, what does it mean for the secondary market? And I guess just within crypto, yeah, we'll say just within crypto. What does it mean for the secondary market in crypto in general? If people can generate clicks and money automatically with a bot, like what is the point of the effort of a person or anyone participating in the secondary market if it's farmed by bots? Like,
Mm,
I think that Web3 gaming runs into this issue a lot because yeah, it's the same issue that gaming in Web3 essentially has because those games are being farmed for clicks, being farmed for an airdrop, being farmed for the play to earn sort of aspect. So you'll have it used to be individuals with hundreds of phones on a wall just
Hmm.
going around clicking. Now we see bots are able to do that without any human effort involved. So within that context of automating everything and having all this trust with AI agents, I mean, what's the point of having the secondary market then? Like, if it's all just made up. Like we were talking before
Hmm.
about the wash trading on Korean exchanges and stuff, and the Korean authority said just don't do it because it's like fake. It's just fake. Then everything
Hmm.
in this market that you've created is fake and it doesn't represent real human activity or real user activity. Isn't it, doesn't
Hmm.
that pose a problem then for the secondary markets in crypto now if we just have AI bots trading everything like for your tokens as well? You have
Hmm.
two tokens on the market now. What would it mean for those tokens? Maybe more. Actually, how many tokens do you have? I'm sorry, I'm like getting
We have
totally off topic here. You have just two, or
we
is
have
it
two.
more? Just
No,
two.
we have
Okay.
two tokens.
Okay.
Yes.
What would it mean for the secondary market of your tokens if you just spun up an AI agent swarm and of like 1,000 of them, 500 of them had a leader focused on Arpa and 500 of them had a leader focused on Bell, and
Hmm.
they were just trading, and then you could come up with these numbers for how great the tokens are, how great the trading volume is on this exchange or that exchange, but it's all made up by bots. And this is
Hmm.
hypothetical, totally hypothetical. Like I
Right.
know that's not happening, right? But I'm
Hmm.
saying what problem does that pose for crypto secondary markets?
Right. Um, I
Or
would
maybe it doesn't.
say,
Maybe it's
yeah,
not
I
a
would
problem.
say it's probably not a problem because, like, let's say, like, now, with human trading, some people make money, right? Some people lose money, and definitely not everyone making money, right? So it's more like, I would say, like, if everyone's using bot, which is a big if, and also a long way to go. So essentially, like how smart is your bot decides how much money you can make or how much money you're gonna lose, right? So everyone's gonna do this like kind of upgrade of their weaponry, right? Upgrade of their bot to be smarter, and only the smartest bot can essentially like gain tractions, right? So I mean, like now in general, like because right now we can get a lot of data sources. So I would say at this point, we are probably like smarter than most of the market participants. However, these AI tools are making, so essentially like these strategies that we are using AI, to do the strategies. So essentially we have to upgrade it constantly, right? We have to look for different data sources. We have to look for different algorithms. We have to combine both, let's say, LLMs to statistical models so essentially build the best or the smartest trading algorithms or trading AI to help the users. So I don't think, like to your point, I don't think that's a problem because there are always smartest algorithms that makes the most money.
That's a good point. The asymmetry of information is what puts people ahead, and it could be the same for bots. Like the faster they get, the milliseconds, like literally down to the milliseconds that they can faster that they can
Of course,
not just collect the data but act on it.
they have to collect the data, analyze the data as fast as they can, and also to process the trade. So it's essentially like we have seen that. So it's not a new thing, right? We had algorithmic trading back in 1980s, and like these like high frequency traders are trading so fast that they have to build microwave towers to just be 1 millisecond ahead of their competitors. So we have seen that in the TradFi world,
What?
and
I haven't heard about that. Did that actually
yeah,
happen? They built microwave
yeah,
towers to get. That's
yeah.
crazy.
They're spending like all these large high frequency trading firms like Citadel, Two Sigma, their infrastructure, they're spending like hundreds of millions of dollars just to be 1 millisecond ahead of their competitors so that they can make more money. So like I actually recommend a book to read. It's called Flash Boys, Flash Boy. You can check it out. And so essentially, like we had that in the TradFi world, and we also actually had that in the crypto world. It just now, with AI, there are a lot of different other ways. There are a lot of other ways you can analyze the data. You can collect the data, analyze the data much faster than the traditional model, and use it combined with like statistical model that we have used in the past, and combine it with AI, we can build smarter or faster models. So essentially, like, that's kind of the upgrades to these algorithms. But then, like, after 40 years, most people still are using just, like look at the data, analyze it with human brain, and then to derive trading decisions. So I would say, in that part, like AI can definitely help a lot for a lot of the user, like in crypto.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. I mean, if you think about how much data, do you use AI tools like in your daily operations? Are you using like Gemini or Deep Research or anything like that?
Yeah.
I can tell you that the amount of data that Deep Research is able to scrape and then analyze and then turn in use it to generate a very in-depth and for the most part accurate, there are little things here and there, but very very good output, 20 times faster than I possibly could. Like imagine how much an even more powerful bot could execute trades. Like the amount of data that it can analyze and execute trades for me would just blow my mind, I'm sure.
Hmm.
Which brings us to the next point, which is what are you doing with Bella Protocol to keep it ahead of the competition, or at least at par with the competition in terms of the sort of technical upgrades you were just describing, staying fast enough, being able, keeping the analytical powers of the platform strong enough to maintain users.
Hmm. Yeah, we definitely take like we look at all these like different AI models on the market, open source, essentially most of these open source models and also closed source models, and then we use it to analyze the data sources. We are constantly adding more data source into these models, and then so we can train the models, and then so eventually we think that we are constantly upgrading these models. And then we also combine, like statistical model that we used in the past with AI models. So essentially, like, um, like, so to make smarter trading decisions. Yeah, you can check it out. Like, just search like Bella Signal Bot, and then you can subscribe to these, like, to all these like AI models that we have, and then to subscribe on your favorite like trading pairs, like for example, Bitcoin or Ethereum. It's free to use. We have around 12,000 users so far.
Yeah, I actually saw the trading bot, the Telegram bot, right?
It is.
Yeah, the that's really fun to use. I gotta say, not that I'm trying to shill you or anything, but no, it's great to use. I like seeing stuff like that because the sort of tips, I wouldn't call them tips. It's more like signals. It's a signal
Mhm.
bot. The signals that it
Yeah.
provides are pretty solid, just based on data. Like, and there's not a person behind it, some KOL who just got paid and has some bags to that they have to push. So that gives me a little more confidence in the calls that it's making are accurate, or maybe not accurate, but not biased.
Of course, it's not biased. It's all just spit out from the model. It's like we can't do anything about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's not someone sitting behind the program typing away. They just bought a
Yeah.
bunch of Bitcoin, so they say go along Bitcoin.
In my company, we also trade using these signals as well. So we also have like prop trading desk for like using these signals and using these models.
So then, from the perspective of the operator of a trading platform, a crypto trading platform, how do you feel about the current bearish market conditions?
Hmm. I am actually still bullish. I would say we are kind of in the middle of this cycle. And essentially, I think it's quite a different game as Bitcoin becomes more mainstream.
I mean, like from the perspective of running a trading platform that is, do you see more volume? Do you see less volume? Is it the same? When there's volatility, is the volatility even more intense than it would be or
Mhm.
was during observably bullish periods? Or how are you observing this, and how, uh, from a revenue standpoint, is it
Mm.
for a trading platform, an on-chain one at that?
Okay, sounds good. Um, yeah, I would say like compared to the past cycle, like this cycle has been more calm, I would say, right? There's less volatility. So if we look at realized volatility for Bitcoin, it's much lower than the last cycle. So, as these institutional investors allocate into Bitcoin, I expect Bitcoin volatility to continue to trend down. And in terms of volume, I would say similar volume uh, as of now compared. Like I don't see a huge spike in the volume, even in the bear market, right? So like I'd say like there's sustained buying demand for Bitcoin, like in the bear even in the bear market. So I don't think like the volume drops too much. In terms of our own like trading AI, right? Trading signal bot. I think we go after to more users. We try to collaborate with different, applications or projects to onboard more users. For now, our products is actually free to use, right? So we don't expect to gain a lot of revenue from these trading signals.
Interesting, interesting. So that's like in complete contrast to a centralized exchange, which I'm
Mm.
sure they're loving this. But you're saying that there's even less volatility now than in the last cycle, and Bella is like 1.5 cycles old now, if I remember right. It launched kind of right after DeFi summer, so what,
Hmm.
like 2021, something like that, and then up to now, so 4 years, about a cycle and a half, right? That's where you're at.
Yep. We actually launched our token in September 2020. So
2020.
it's
Okay.
been nearly 5 years now. It's a long time.
Yeah, coming up on 5 year anniversary, 4.5 years to here now, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, what kind of tooling does the now in DeFi? So we now have this new term, DeFi, DeFai, not decentralized finance, but decentralized finance with AI. That's the DeFi that I'll refer to here. What sort of tooling does DeFi need now? Builders like yourself and others in the Web3 space who are trying to make DeFi more adoptable. What tooling do you need on the infrastructure side, or maybe even on the retail side, do you need in order to make that happen?
Sounds good. Yeah, I think that's a great question, right? Because like DeFi, DEFAI is a new term, right? It basically it has only been maybe 3 months old, 3 or 4 months old. Um, so to me, like I think first of all, like the biggest use case is to use AI to assist with trading, right? To make money essentially for the users. So I think, a lot of these AI signals, like for example, the ones that we build, is helping users. That is one part of AI, DeFi application. The other part is basically the automations, right? So let's say like I can just using natural language, right, to say, buy me some Dogecoin when like the top addresses are accumulating, right? So essentially like these like automations using very complex conditions that has not been able, right, by before, right? So I'll give you another example, right? Um, let's say this one address that has been accumulating a lot of the Dogecoin, and I want to sell Dogecoin at the same second when this address sent to Binance, right? I can do that as well. So like essentially, like I can use natural language to put up some triggers, right, and to do some trading automations. I think that's another application for DeFi.
So an LLM that is able to process text-based prompts into trading activity,
Into trading strategies.
trading strategies. Okay.
Mhm.
And there's nothing like that now?
Mm, not to me, not like
Nothing
not
that's
based on
good
my
enough.
knowledge. Yeah, nothing good enough for sure.
Is that something that Bella could develop, or are you guys focused on other things?
We are actually building some features that's kind of doing some automations, but I wouldn't say is AI is anything related to AI, but there are like specific like trading strategy automations. For example, we are building this tool called percentage volume. So if I want to trade according to percentage of volume, or according to a percentage of volume in the past, let's say 5 minutes, I can trade on Solana. So, for example, if I want to buy token A, if I want to buy, let's say, if I want to buy Bell, right? Based on the past 5 minutes trading volume, I can do that. I can do it on chain. So, like automations like that, I think they are very useful for sophisticated traders. And currently they are not available. They are not available anywhere. So Jupiter has this like TWAP or DCA features. However, it doesn't, provide percentage of volume features. So I think there are definitely users like myself. They want to use this type of features.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Jupiter, the past year and a half or so, they've put out some really great features, and I think the TWAP and DCA feature
Hmm.
have really powered up that platform so nicely, and it makes perfect sense like why Solana has all this trading volume. Of course, aside from the meme coins, and yeah, they that network, it's very easy to implement a bot and trade with a bot. But just using Jupiter itself, the fact that it routes, isn't it something like 85 or 90% of the trading volume on Solana? It's some insane majority
Hmm.
of the trading
Yeah.
volume on Solana. And then if you're a person, you go in there, you can TWAP with like, I mean, that's just great. It makes
Mhm.
everything so easy, and it's not even complicated to go into their interface as a person who is, if you know how to use Uniswap, like if you're familiar with that, you can use Jupiter. Uh, so that's my great thing to say about Jupiter for the day. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah,
I'm a
definitely
heavy user for
having
Jupiter for sure, as
everyone
well.
likes Jupiter, and then of course they give airdrops, which is even better. So looking ahead, what trends or developments do you see shaping the future of AI in Web3? Like, let's say 2 years from now, what
Mm.
what sort of trend is being worked on a technology side, on a narrative side, however you see it in Web3 today in regards to AI?
Mm. Um, I think there are two. One is DeFi, right? DeFi, that we talked about, right? So we have, algorithms that can make money for the users, or at least like help with the trading decisions for the users, process the data. And the other use case is to do a lot of automations for complex trading strategies that the user can just describe using natural language. So I think those are in on the DeFi side. And the other longer term interesting development I would like to see is AI sovereignty that we covered before, right? A verifiable AI and to enable sovereignties for AI beings. AI being can have their own wallet, they can make their own trading decisions, or like they can buy or sell services using that wallet, and they can do everything fully autonomously without a human overlord. Um, and I think blockchain is the only possible route for AI sovereignties. Um, Maybe they can host their own trade, like computing power. They can so essentially like maybe do the inferences and put their inferences on chain, right? And they can essentially have their own wallet, do a lot of activities, and maybe like at some point we're gonna have this huge trading institutions, right? That's fully autonomous. That's essentially like not belong to any human. So I would definitely would like to see that happen. Um, I think it's probably only gonna be the next 2 3 years. Probably not gonna be too far away from like from reality. Um, and I like I truly believe that that's kind of the killer use case for blockchain. Not just to enable human financial sovereignty, but to enable AI being financial sovereignty. AI being cannot use our own financial systems, right? They have to use something decentralized, right? They can so like if I'm a reasonable or a logical AI algorithms or AI being, I would definitely choose the like one thing without single point of failure. I would not like like any human to just shut me down, right? So essentially, there are two things that I need to worry about. One is my computing power. How to ensure that this computing power is 100% reliable. They will not go offline, right? Actually, blockchain, if you think about it, like blockchain is a perfect or ideal environment for AI beings to live. That's one thing. The other thing is the financials, right? The money, right? I need to have the money to exchange for services as an AI being, and I can only accomplish that on chain instead of using some centralized services. And that is like a brand new future for our industry, I'd say.
Well put. And I'm guessing ARPA can provide that verification for the AI bots on chain.
Yeah, we are working towards it, but it's like it's gonna be a long way. Like so essentially there are different technology routes, and one like the more feasible one is called TEE, right? Trusted Execution Environment. Um, so there are like some open source alliances that building these like frameworks, and also Intel is working on SGX, TEE. So I think that is more powerful in terms of the computing power. But for us, like we are working on cryptography algorithms, right? How to use let's say like threshold signature schemes or other verifiable cryptography to essentially put these like inferences or put these like computation on chain. But it is much less efficient compared to the TEE. And I think in probably in some specific use cases we can find, some PMF like product market fit. But I think that's a long way to go.
Well, Felix, thank you so much. Everyone, you heard it here. A real blockchain visionary, and yeah, he's Bitcoin's biggest cheerleader tonight on the Sweat podcast. Nothing wrong with that. I love Bitcoin too. Well, again, Felix, thank you so much for joining us. Your thoughts on AI in Web3, perfect for the podcast. There's a lot of great clips and content that we can get out of this. So your thoughts are always appreciated. You're welcome back anytime. Have a great night, and we'll talk again soon.
Thank you, Brian.